Every day, over 350,000 new variations of malware hit the web. And while most organizations have attempted to mitigate these attacks, many antivirus and firewall technologies that worked in the past are no longer effective. Rocket IT helps you identify and update outdated technologies and processes that put your business at risk. To learn more about how Rocket IT can help protect your organization, click the link in this episode's description. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 24 of the Rocket IT Business Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Hyatt, and today we're sitting down with two of the most outgoing legal professionals I think I've met, Judge Kristina Blum and attorney Jody Campbell. Beyond doing the important work of their professions, Kristina and Jody have formed a philanthropic partnership that brings incredible value and a huge helping of fun to our community, and we're in for a treat today. Jody, Kristina, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Matt. It's so great to be here and see you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So I'm going to just dive right in here and start hitting with super tough questions. Kristina, you are Gwinnett County's first female Chief Magistrate Judge, and I'd love to know, what was the path to get there?
Well, I actually, for years, I've been a lawyer. I graduated from law school in 1994, I think so. And I started representing. I tell people you should take the first job you're offered. It's always easier to find a job. And sometimes you need to figure out what you don't like to do before you can find what you do love to do. So I started working at this law firm downtown representing cities and counties. And through just a couple of different law firm moves, I ended up being a senior assistant county attorney here in Gwinnett County. And one of my clients was the Gwinnett County Magistrate Court. So people don't know, judges and courts need attorney advice too. There might be issues that come up about policy or changes in the law, or even people, sometimes sue judges for reasons that, have some to no merit. And I worked with Warren Davis, who was the chief magistrate at the time. And ironically, asking you that question, I'm sitting right here at this desk, and I was his lawyer, and he's one of my favorite people. He and I were already talking this morning, and I was sitting here, and after being his lawyer for a few years, he said to me, he goes, "Kristina, I think I know what you're supposed to do with your life." And he called me from this desk, and he said, "You're supposed to be a judge." And I go,
"Wow,
Warren, you're crazy." I said, "You're crazy." And he pushed me into applying to be a magistrate judge. And I applied to be a full-time judge, and I didn't get it. And I'm super thankful the first time I didn't. But then Warren brought me into the court as a part-time magistrate. And I did that for 5 years, and I kind of got into it and loved it. My glamorous job in the magistrate court was the first 5 years I worked every single Saturday at the jail, handling first appearance hearings for people who were arrested and dealing with bond issues and things like that. Yeah, people think judging is really glamorous. It's not.
Sounds like it.
It's not, no. So I worked, but at the time I had a 6-month-old and a 2-year-old. So it was kind of nice to be out of the house. And my husband enjoyed the father, child time that he had with just the kids. So after a while, then I became a full-time judge in 2009. And having had the experience of, being in the trenches with magistrate court, and then my full-time judges primarily provide judicial assistance to other courts. So when I became a full-time judge, heck, I did juvenile court, recorder's court, superior court, state court. I'd done trials, I'd done everything. And I really decided that it was something that I enjoyed doing. I enjoyed trying to solve problems for people and try to be part of the solution. It's a burdensome job. And if anybody who wears a robe doesn't feel that it's a burden, then they're not in the right role. But in 2013, the current chief at the time, George Hutchinson, was appointed by the governor to be a Superior Court judge. So that left the Chief Magistrate Judge job open, and the local legislation provides that when there's a midterm change, the Superior Court judges, there were 10 at the time, get to select the new chief magistrate. So at that time in January of 2013, the Superior Court judges selected me to fill the unexpired term of then Chief Magistrate George Hutchinson. So I have now I'm in my third term. I've had 2 elected terms and then 1 appointed term. And it's a job I really love. But I always tell people you never know the impact you can have in the course of somebody's career or job
Oh,
or
I bet.
life or mission. As I am, like I said, sitting in this desk right now where one phone call 16 years ago changed the course of everything for me.
Unbelievable. So is it, pardon me for asking, but is it unusual to have women judges in Gwinnett?
No, we
I
have a
didn't think
lot.
so.
No,
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah.
No, I
Heck
think
no.
I think, people say, of course, it's, I I was the first female magistrate, but a lot of people don't know that in 1983, magistrate courts were actually created by the Georgia General Assembly. They were created to take the place of recorders courts
I see.
and justice of the peace courts, which were combined. Fortunately, we still get to keep our recorder's court because it does a valuable service to us in dealing with county ordinance violations and traffic.
Mhm.
But magistrate court provides a lot of judicial support to the other branches of justice. We do, gosh, I've been a juvenile court judge, a probate. Yeah, I've done every court. I've done every kind of calendar because some other judges go on vacation, or if a judge is in a murder trial and they can't get to any of their domestic cases, one of my judges or myself, sometimes we go up there and we handle those cases to keep things moving. I
Gotcha.
would say justice delayed is in fact justice denied. If you have to wait for a family court decision for a
Mm.
year, that's your life's on hold. So we're very grateful not only for our original jurisdiction things we have to do, but also to provide that judicial support role. But there's a ton of women. We have, yeah, we
I was
have.
when here's a fun fact. I was sworn in by
Women
Judge
are
Deborah
great
Turner.
judges.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but what I was
Nice.
saying is that when the Georgia court when the General Assembly created magistrate courts in 1983, I'm the 4th chief
Okay.
magistrate. So there
Okay.
was Judge Fred Bishop, Judge Warren Davis, Judge George
George
Hutchinson, and
Hutchison.
then
Yeah.
me.
Nice.
So I hope I have done a great service to my sisters out there by representing the magistrate court well. And I will tell you a weird thing. When I became the chief, shortly after, all of the metro chief magistrates were women.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah, and we
interesting.
formed
Okay.
a tight little group too. We talk all the
Nice.
time. I still talk to the chief magistrate of Fulton, Cassandra Kirk, all the time, and DeKalb, Beryl Anderson. So we all know each other. Cobb had a wonderful female chief magistrate who moved on to become their DA, but now there's a guy, and he always says, "I hate breaking up the girl band," being now the only guy. But I think women have an empathy and a patience that makes a woman, not to say I have plenty of male judges that are phenomenal, but I do think that women are good natural judges.
I would agree with that. So to make it perfectly clear for us lay folks, what exactly is the mission of the magistrate court?
Oh my gosh, it's the best. Our court is the most accessible to anybody.
You're
I
winning.
love what I do. I love what I do. Well, here's the thing. Magistrate court we handle things like all the search and arrest warrants. My court runs 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. I got a text from one of my judges in the middle of the night last night with an issue that came up. So we keep the community safe by being accessible. And we also, people have a right to have a judge determine whether there's sufficient evidence on a probable cause standard before their liberty interest can be compromised. So by the time somebody's in jail, even 36 hours,
Mm.
one magistrate judge may have looked at that case 3 times. So
Wow.
there's a lot of due process and constitutional protections that my court provides in the criminal context. We also handle most of the landlord tenant cases for the county. And we had an amazing project, our Project Reset. I hope people have seen it, but it was a little idea myself, Marlene Foscue, and Matt Elder started last year, and we've now interceded in over 1,000 evictions, spending over $6 million in CARES Act funding to keep people in their homes. So
Wow.
we've got solution-based opportunities. We do a lot of debt collection, but we have to provide a lot of protections with that. We also have a lot of, in addition to landlord-tenant matters and debt collection. We do that, but we have small claims court, just like the people's court. It's not as exciting or like sexy as Judge Judy or some of those that instigate, I think, the conflict in a case. But we do a lot of like small business owners. If you have a claim for less than $15,000, that's our jurisdictional limit. Jurisdictional means what we can and cannot do. If it's less than $15,000, you can sue in our court, and you
I
don't
see.
have to have a lawyer for your business. For Rocket IT, say somebody owed you guys money and it was $2,000. It's a lot of money to me, or even $400 to hire a lawyer. Now, not any offense
Go
to
ahead.
lawyers.
Go ahead. Make fun of us,
I'm
Kay.
married to one. I sleep with a lawyer every night, and I love him. But I
And
think
his
that
employment matters to your home, your mortgage
it does.
payment.
But you have to make a decision. You have to make a decision as to whether it's worth it to retain an attorney
Right.
to chase that. Now, in state and superior court, the rules require you to have a lawyer if you're a business. But in
Ah.
my court, you don't have to.
Hmm.
And the other thing we offer is in small business court world, or just conflict world, or say your neighbor's tree falls on your fence and they won't fix it and you want to sue, we can give you opportunities to resolve that conflict in usually now pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, 60 days is our timeline. And we do it swiftly. And we also provide free mediation opportunities.
Wow.
And we also have court at night. So if you do have a business, you don't have to close your business to come to court. So there's a lot of things we do in our court that make justice accessible to people who need it, but can't hire a $400 an hour lawyer.
Well,
Not that there's
yeah.
anything wrong with that. So we're busy. We run about 100,000 matters through a year. Again, I'm talking pre-pandemic,
Wow.
and we try to be solution based in what we offer, but most of our customers, as I call them, come in are self-represented. So we do a lot of work trying to break down the system and give people the tools they need through our legal process to solve their problems. We do it with multi-language, we do it with interpreters, we do it in the best way we know how. But I hope it shows that the mission of this court is to make sure that our third branch of government is accessible to people, all people. And that's why I
Awesome.
love magistrate court.
Yeah, I love it.
And
Hey, thank you for that education.
Let me
I
jump
learned
in.
a lot.
Let me just jump in and say, because I feel like I have to defend my profession a little bit here.
No, you don't.
No,
I
no,
love
no, no,
lawyers.
No. Hang on. As a lawyer, I love it when I get to use magistrate court.
Why is
Because
that?
well, for two reasons. One, because any lawyer that doesn't accept the financial reality of their client situation is doing their client a disservice. Hiring a lawyer is an investment, and you should expect a return on that investment. And so it's my job to try to solve your problem in as cost efficient a manner as possible. The magistrate court is built for speed and efficiency. So where if I file a lawsuit in state or superior court, I might not even see a courtroom for 10, 12 months. In magistrate court, I file a lawsuit, I'm going to get in a courtroom in 60 days at the latest. It's just, and so
Interesting.
time is money to my clients. And so trying to solve those problems, if I can go to a magistrate court, I'll do it 10 out of 10 times.
And make no mistake, we have a lot of lawyers. Today we have what's called garnishment calendars going on, and we have attorneys trying to work out, resolving judgments and things like that. And our attorneys in Mag Court do a great job. They are really collaborative and trying to figure out, we can do, unlike other courts, as part of our judgment, we can do payment plans. So we issue payment plans to keep people from using the processes of levy and execution and even garnishment. But our lawyers are great in Mag Court, and a lot of our lawyers, like Jody, recognize that if I have a client that has a small business, it's to my advantage to work out a retainer structure, a financial structure, because I know it's not as big a commitment for me as an attorney. It's not going to last 3 years.
Right.
And so I'll have a different kind of payment structure with that client, knowing we can do it in magistrate court, and then renegotiate when we go up to, if it goes to a different court later on. So we do love having lawyers in Mag Court, and for the most part, we have the same. Our landlord tenant lawyers are great. They've all been pretty amazing through the pandemic too. I got to give them huge props.
And here's the sad reality of our job, Matt. Because of the costs associated with hiring lawyers, the longer the case goes, the more you have to pay your lawyers, the harder it is to resolve a case. So my experience is I have a significantly higher success rate, both reaching an agreement and making sure that agreement is fulfilled. If I'm in magistrate court, because of the structure, I'm able to keep costs and expenses down. It's a no-brainer. It really is.
Okay, great. I love it. I learned a lot this morning already. So
Come
Jody,
to court with me a day. I'll give you the
there you-
judge experience.
I would love to do that.
Be careful what you
Absolutely,
be
Matt.
careful what you wish for. She'll take you out to the jail, and you'll see the very
Yeah.
dark underbelly of the judicial system.
We
Well,
do
I
have
have
2
done-
courthouses.
I've done a police ride along. I've done principal for a day with our school system. I've done a fire department ride along. I haven't done anything in the court system
Be
yet. So that'd
careful
be
what
good.
you wish for, my friend.
Yeah, that'd be good. So Jody, let's learn about you. My understanding is you also went to law school and fresh out of law school landed a partner role
That's wrong.
at a firm.
That's
Is that
wrong.
right?
That's wrong.
Okay.
So-
all right. Correct me.
Yes. So
Thanks a lot, Chris.
yeah, Chris. Way to set Matt up. Your check's in the mail, Chris. No.
Right.
So I had options coming out of law school. I could have gone to a downtown law firm, or I also received an offer from where I went to, which is the oldest law firm in Gwinnett County, Webb, Tanner, Powell, Mertz, and Wilson, which is now Powell and
Okay.
Edwards. It was actually founded by Marvin Allison, who's a former Gwinnett County judge. No, wait,
Wow.
was Mr. Allison a judge, Kristina? No, his partner,
Sure.
Charles Pittard, was.
Oh, I see. I see. So,
Judge
so
Pittard
when you
was,
say it's the
yeah.
oldest firm in Gwinnett County, how old is that?
Oh, God, I think it was founded in the 1950s.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's
Yeah,
been around
and
a
so
really
it-
long time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been in continual operation. The name has changed, but it's the same kind of family core group, if you will.
Right.
So the option for me was to go downtown and work at a downtown law firm,
Mhm.
or come out to the suburbs and work. And for me, there was kind of 2 deciding factors. Well, 3, I should say. One, sometimes the stereotypes are true, and with big downtown law firms, they grind their first year associates, and
Right.
sometimes you don't see a courtroom or a deposition or anything for 3, 4, 5, 6 years. At Webb, Tanner, and Powell, I was sworn in on a Friday. On Monday morning, I was sitting second chair of a jury trial in a multi-million-dollar case.
Wow.
So I'm very ADD. And so if I'm doing the same thing over and over
Really?
and over and over again
I
every
didn't
single
know.
day, I get really, I mean, look at my walls. It's very kind of, frenetic and chaos. Keeps me excited. But if I'm doing the same thing over and over, I get bored quickly.
Right.
And the second part of it is I'm a people person. I need to be in a courtroom. If you put me in a library or in an office writing memos all day, that's a recipe for disaster, and it's a recipe for a very unhappy Jody.
Right.
And then the third decision was, if there's one thing that matters most to me, it's my family. And I made a promise to my wife that I would be able to come home and have dinner with her every single night. And when we started having kids, I was gonna be there. And so I didn't want to commit to. There was a wonderful lawyer named Mike Terry. He's a brilliant lawyer at a downtown law firm. He's argued cases in front of the Supreme Court of the United States.
Wow.
In fact, for a while, he had the record for the largest jury verdict in Georgia history, which actually came out of Gwinnett County, the Six Flags case, Kristina. It was a Warner Brothers shareholder case, and he tried it. But I remember was having dinner with Mike when I was in law school. He was like a mentor in this thing called the Inn of Court that I was a part of, and I was a pupil of his. And he was telling me about how some days he would come home to give his kids a kiss goodnight and then drive back to the office and be at the office until midnight or 1 in the
Oh my
morning.
goodness.
And I was like, I'm sorry, Mike,
Yeah.
you're brilliant. That's no life for me.
Mhm.
So that's how I decided to come to Webb, Tanner, Powell, Mertz, and Wilson. And another
So when did the
mentor,
partner thing happen?
4 years. So
Okay.
most time, just kind of generally speaking, partnership comes along in like year, 6,
Okay.
7, somewhere in there. I was fast tracked a bit.
Right.
I became a partner right at the 4-year mark.
Wow.
And it's wonderful. It was a blessing. I mean, obviously it was a validation. It was a endorsement by my colleagues and my partners that they believed in me and they believed what I was doing was good and that I had a bright future. At the same time, I don't know if I had necessarily the maturity to accept that role. I don't know if I was necessarily ready for it. I was there for 2 years. And then a friend of mine from law school who was managing a litigation group down at a law firm in Peachtree Corners for a regional law firm that had offices in Mississippi, Alabama, and Tennessee, said, "Hey, I've got this great group of young lawyers who are litigators, but they have no courtroom experience. I need a leader to come down here and groom this team. Will you come and do it?" And I jumped at the opportunity. Actually, I had a lunch with Kristina, and I was telling her how worried I was and how I wasn't sure what it was going to lead to 5 years down the road. And she said, "Who cares about 5 years down the road? Worry about the next 5 days.
Yeah.
Just get to Friday."
Right.
And that helped me make the leap. And eventually, 5 years later, I opened up a law office with Kristina's husband, Jim. So now my name's on the door. So it all worked out well, but that's my path to where we are today.
I love it. So I want to get to the law firm, but beforehand, I want to let's unpack, how did you two meet? Were you a lawyer in Kristina's court, or did it happen a different way?
Well, Matt, Kristina, if you don't mind.
Sure.
You were there, Matt. Kristina was a member of the Leadership Gwinnett Retreat Committee. And Matt and I were in.
Wait, when was this? It was
class of 2011.
Yeah.
10 years ago? Wow.
Yeah, it was a decade ago. And so
that's crazy.
We'll get more into this, but obviously as a young lawyer, you're taught, and Kristina hates it when I say this, but I'm going to say it anyways. A good lawyer knows the law. A great lawyer knows the judge.
Hate that.
A great lawyer knows what?
The judge.
I hate that phrase.
No, but Kristina,
is it wrong?
Agree.
Yes, it should be for sure.
Gotcha. No, what that means is, and let me tell you what that means. What that means to me.
A great lawyer reads the judge.
That I will agree with Kristina, but also a great lawyer knows the judge, and the judge knows the lawyer, and there's a rapport and a trust that the lawyer is a good person, is an honest person, and you can trust what they're saying.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. Yes. So, but of course, as a young lawyer, I'm trying to foster these relationships with people in my world, and my world includes. I was literally in Kristina's court. She wasn't the chief magistrate at the time, but I was in the magistrate court 4 days a week, literally. So of course, I'm like, I've got to get to know Kristina Blum. Might be in front of her.
So at Leadership Gwinnett, you each knew who the other was. You just didn't have that friendship and bond yet. True.
I knew who she was. I doubt she knew who I was.
Ah, okay.
I probably knew his name.
I'll take it.
Okay, all right.
But what he was saying is we were on the dance floor. I think that's what
we were on the dance floor at the retreat, and
where all good legal partnerships start.
That's pretty much it. Yeah. We started through song and dance.
Yeah. I love it. So that was back in 2011. It's been 10 years. Obviously, you've become great friends over that period of time. So let's unpack a little bit. What happened next? You're out there hanging out on the dance floor. You got to know each other, and then you got back to business.
It was a fail. Let's go ahead, Kristina. I'll let you pick up the story from
here.
Well,
you're about to tell people my medical history. He's like, he always loves the story, and it's just a yucky story.
Hang on, let me get my HIPAA compliance officer in here.
We were dancing, and I would do the YMCA, and I threw my hands up, and I I'm a pretty athletic person. I can't throw a ball, catch a ball, kick a ball.
You sound pretty athletic.
Jody and I just finished an 11.5-mile Tough Mudder this past weekend.
Oh, wow.
We've done our second adventure race of the year, and we're about to do our third. So that kind of stuff. I do CrossFit, which again, there you go, Jody. Jody probably wins. I got it in really early. But I had this shoulder pain, so I threw up to do the YMCA, and my shoulder just popped.
Oh.
So right as Jody's trying to, I guess, make his friendship move, I was like, oh my God. And I went, and long story short, I had a tumor in my shoulder.
Are you serious?
Yes, that surfaced, and it was underneath my trapezius muscle back here. And when I lifted it up, it just it broke through the muscle. So I had to have orthopedic surgery.
So basically, Jody saved your life.
I wouldn't go. The answer
Please don't tell him that. Please.
Yes.
Please
But
don't.
now listen, obviously I'm just meeting Kristina for the first time. We're
It
dancing.
was a benign tumor, by the way.
Okay.
So we're dancing, and all of a sudden she starts doing this. I'm like, okay, either one, I injured
I don't
Kristina,
know that move.
or two, she's faking it because she's annoyed by me.
Right.
It was not. It was
By the
really
way,
yucky.
women have done both of those to me.
Yes.
It was really yucky. But our friendship, like, I think Jody and I, like, the next year, we both are incredibly passionate about Leadership Gwinnett for the reason that I believe that to really affect change in a community, you have to mobilize, galvanize, and incentivize the people of influence. So Leadership Gwinnett, of course, it pulls together people, in different areas of the community. And I've always given so much time and effort to this organization. Not only has it brought me so much personal satisfaction and personal just joy, but it also, I think, really you lead from the top down. So if you can get people who are hospital CEOs and all this excited about making a difference that's not just about dollars and cents, then you can really force multiply that.
Yeah.
So I've been involved with Leadership Gwinnett the whole time. So I had to, the next year, I graduated in 2009, I think. So I was on the retreat committee. Our chief state court judge, Pam South, was the chair that year, who's one of my favorite people in the whole building. And the next year, they made me the co-chair with Dot Scholler, who's the principal of an elementary school in the central cluster. And she was amazing. So we had to pick committee members. And we remembered Jody from the retreat about being, warm. And the people we look for on a committee is somebody who's going to be like a camp counselor, who's going to be a host, who's going to make people feel comfortable, who's going to make people feel welcome. And so Jody was one of our committee selections. And that was when it started. And over the years, we started figuring out about each other that we have a lot of similar features to our personality and a lot of super specific, mostly useless talent.
Accurate.
That somehow, that's my phrase I always say, that we have kind of turned into a little bananas cottage industry for philanthropic organizations. And we were talking on the phone this morning because we actually talk every day. He is next to my husband. He's my best friend. He's my brother. I introduce him to people as my brother now because our families are so intertwined, and his kids call me Aunt Kay. But we were talking this morning and, talking about that. And I think he was kind of asking me some questions like, what do you think? And I said, I don't know. I think our friendship's gotten to the point where, we are deep enough in our relationship that he told me one day, a couple weeks ago, that made me cry. He said, even because I was being a little bit of a jerk, he goes, even when you're the jerkiest jerk on the planet, he goes, you're still my second favorite person. And I think when you achieve that sort of adult friendships are hard.
They really
and I
are.
think when you sort of achieve that with someone, he's got my back, I've got his, and together we use our mostly useless, super specific talent to I guess get other people excited and help other people figure out what super specific, mostly useless talents they have. And that's kind of one of our missions.
Yeah. And to piggyback on that. So when I joined the retreat committee, I won't go behind the curtain of Oz. I won't tell everybody the secrets of Leadership Gwinnett, but there are certain components where creativity, enthusiasm, showmanship, and mainly a complete lack of self-awareness are the four most important factors. And it just so happens that Kristina and I think are about the same person on each of those levels.
Nice.
And so that enables us to do things and plan things and do programming that is really designed to kind of remove the professional facade a little bit,
right?
Peel back the onion and get to know people on a truly deep level. Because to again piggyback on what Kay said, another part of the reason why I love Leadership Gwinnett so much is because it takes these insanely important established leaders in our community, and it really strips them down to just who they are, not what they are. And once everybody learns who you are, and when you become friends with the who, not the what, that's when the relationship matters. So as Kay and I being a perfect example, that's when I stopped seeing her as Judge Blum, and I started to see her as my best friend Kristina. And that's when
awesome.
that's when the magic really starts to happen.
Nice. So you've called Kristina K a couple times. So tell JoJo and K, where did that come from?
Here's the thing, Matt. I told you we talk every morning.
Were we not supposed to talk about that?
This is Chris.
No.
Again.
No. There are only 2 people that call him JoJo. That is me and Ms. Martha Campbell.
My mom.
Oh, really?
His
okay.
mom.
All right.
My wife doesn't call me that.
So JoJo.
Well, it might be 4 now because there's me and our listener.
JoJo. Well, Kay, here's a funny story about Kay. He started calling me Kay years ago. And I don't know, this wasn't all that long ago because Hammer I've been married to Jim for 27 years. He's amazing. And Hammer, when your last name growing up is Hammer, that's what people call you. They call you Hammer.
Oh,
so when I got married, I was like, what do I want to do? I was like, I'm not really a hyphen. That's a lot of work. It seems like I respect those women, but I wasn't always going to write that. My signature is terrible. So I said, Hammer is going to be my middle name.
Wow.
So I changed it, just now everything Hammer is legally my middle name now.
Wow.
But one day we were sitting there and I was like, I don't think he knows this about me.
Okay, we should do this.
What? Well, wait, hold on. So I go, hey, Jody, you call me Kay all the time. Did you know that's actually my middle name? K-A-Y. I was born Kristina K. Hammer, K-A-Y.
I was convinced she was playing a prank on me.
Yeah, right. I said, so when I hear him calling me Kay, in my head, I don't think of it as abbreviation. I think it was just my middle name. And he was like, I had no idea. And I was like, yeah, that's actually my name.
Wow.
So my middle name, my real middle name is Kay.
Is JoJo your middle name, Jody?
No,
it's Charles.
Because that would be a crazy coincidence.
Yeah, no, it's Jody Charles Campbell. I'm named after my grandfather. Charles was his name. But yeah, no, my mom called me JoJo. My wife calls me Joe. Kay's always just called me Jody or JoJo. And then she started picking up JoJo. You know what it was? I think we were at a mutual Christmas party, and my mom was there. It was, and Kristina heard my mom call me JoJo, and then Kristina started slipping JoJo in, and I think that's where it picked up, and that's what it's been ever since.
So I don't want to miss out. You said, "Are we going to do this? Are we going to do what?"
I don't know. I don't know what you were saying.
What are we doing?
When you said,
Jody,
we're going to do that.
Are we going to do this, Kristina? That's what you said, Jody.
About the name? I don't know what you were talking about. I don't know what
I thought maybe you were going to break into song. I was ready.
You know what? Here's a funny thing, Matt. It is bananas how many people ask us that when I'm at a meeting or something. Jody talked about
sort of a reputation.
I know. And it's really, yeah, but here's the thing. We use that. There's an intentionality behind the way we do things and how we do them. And in Leadership Gwinnett, Jody and I kind of formed this friendship. But I will tell you, our friendship is Leadership Gwinnett's part of our friendship. But, we just did the Tough Mudder this past weekend. We've got adventure races. We're going camping together this weekend.
Nice.
We have all these other little subsets of things that keep us entertained. But I think that, the song and dance thing, we started using that years ago because when you walk into a room of all of these people who have fancy titles, and I'm never so entitled that I'm going to think I'm going to have this title. My title doesn't define me. I answer the phone, I'm like, hey, it's Kristina. If I've got the robe on and I'm on the bench, please call me Judge Blum because it's about the ceremony and the solemnity of the process. But I think we use song and dance and stuff like that just to remind people what they forget. And I think part of our charm is that we never stop trying to have fun. I mean, what is all of this for? So when we do the song and the dance, now we love throwing people off a little, like going, what is that? Like, what are they doing? And we know we're not the greatest singers. Now we are really, really good dancers. We're like super good dancers.
That's true. Yeah.
But we know, and why we do it is it's almost like we're giving people permission to be ridiculous and to be comfortable with not being so buttoned up and put on all the time, and that, yeah, you might have a fancy title, but I want to know about Matt. I want to know, because how we get things done is about relationships. It's not about titles.
Mhm.
My title may be why you answered the phone call, but my relationship with you is why we're going to have a conversation. That's how we got Project Reset going, is I was able to call Commissioner Foscue and say, can you come to court with me today? I need to show you what's going on, and we need to figure this out. And I was like, Marlene, come help me. Matt, come in. And it was through these conversations. It wasn't about Judge Blum, Commissioner Foscue. It was about what tools do you have access to that we can fix it. So the songs and the dances and the ridiculousness are really two purposes. Number one, we want people to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And
Right.
we're really good at that.
Oh, yeah.
And we want people to remember that, I go home at the end of the day, and my job is part of the fabric of my being because I love it and I love my mission. But at the same time, I'm still about figuring out who I am and what I like to do and where my talents lie. And we unlock little keys to people sometimes unintentionally, finding out they can do this or that. That is always such a joy to me, to learn something or to watch somebody learn something about themselves or remember something they forgot they loved. And that's such a fun thing to be a part of.
Yeah, and the old adage, you can't lead where you're not willing to go yourself. If we're asking you to be your authentic self, if we weren't authentic ourselves, we're just hollow. So that's Kay's right. It's there's an intentionality behind it. We're not just doing it because we can. We're doing it because that's who we are. That's what we love to do, and we ask you to share what you love to do and who you are with us.
That's terrific. Look, let's pause for just a second. I think that not all of our listeners know what Leadership Gwinnett is. And so let's just point out, because also not all of our listeners may be from here in Gwinnett. A lot of communities have a leadership program where they bring folks from the community together, teach them all about what's going on in the community or district that they're in. So everything from, like I said earlier, police and fire to court systems, how the educational system works, and really shining a light on what the opportunities in the community are to get involved, right? And so for us in Gwinnett, that's a 1 year long program. How many classmates we have typically? About 40? Does that sound right?
We're now when
42.
we went through we now have
I was close.
42. When we went through the class, Matt, it was 36.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. So that's what Leadership Gwinnett is, and that's a common thread for us on this call. So that's terrific. So let's talk about some of the projects that the two of you have gotten involved in, because I think what happens a lot is you're a ton of fun. You're fun to be around, but also you do things in sort of a big and funny way often. And so what are some of those things that you've gotten involved in the community?
Where do we start?
Oh.
I want to know about Gwinnett Duck Derby. Let me just cut to the chase. I want to know about what in the world is that?
So the Gwinnett Duck Derby is actually the primary fundraiser for mine and Kristina's Rotary Club. We're in Rotary together. We're members of the Sugarloaf Rotary Club, or Rotary Club of Sugarloaf, and that's a huge, yeah. We're shocking. I know. We're kind of we're not your granddad's Rotary Club.
No.
we're the fun crowd. But the Duck Derby is every single year we sell ducks, rubber ducks that we. Back before COVID, we would literally put them at the top of a water slide, and then they'd float around the lazy river, and the winning duck would be bought by somebody, and that person would win a cash prize or what have you.
I see.
And so Kristina and our Rotary Club came to us, and the people who were planning it the particular year was Ginger Powell and Jen Fennell, our dear friends and amazing women and leaders in our community. They said, "Hey, would y'all kind of be our hype people? Would y'all make promos, and would y'all be the MCs of the actual duck derby?" In the past, Kristina and I have both worn a mascot duck costume and gone down the lazy river ourselves.
And wait, let me just stop for a second, because I am a legitimate superhero. If this is the qualification, I was wearing the duck costume at 1 year when we did it, and a toddler, we were watching all the ducks come down. A toddler nobody was watching this baby. Walked into the deep end of the pool, just walked in, stepped down, and I'm looking around going, is anybody going to get this baby? And all of a sudden, and I'll never forget this, I see this toddler looking up at me from underneath the water,
Oh my
and
goodness.
nobody's in. So I am wearing the duck costume. I jump in and saved the baby.
Wow.
So I saved a baby wearing a costume. Superhero.
And that's
incredible.
And that's how
Just
I met.
saying.
And that's how I met Kristina Blum, and we've been friends ever since.
If
I
that's
have
the
a
criteria,
physics
if you
question.
save somebody in a duck costume, yes, Matt.
Does an adult in a duck costume jumping into a pool sink or float? What happens?
Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. It only came up to here, like my chest, like area. So, but I had to go shoulder deep to scoop the baby off the bottom.
It sounds like it would
And
fill
then
up with water.
By the way, the parents weren't super thankful. I'm like, because I was a little indignant, like I was soaking wet in this duck costume, and I'm like, who's supposed to be? And I had clothes on underneath. I'm like, who's supposed to be watching this baby? And where are the lifeguards? I think I go into
Well, Kristina, you have to understand.
Wow.
They probably
indignant superhero.
Yes.
I was an indignant superhero.
well, their ducks probably didn't win the race either, so it was like a double loss for them. There.
Right.
I was like, I just saved a baby. Okay, but anyway, the duck derby.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
so they're like, let's use Jody and Kristina's powers of to build enthusiasm, to build excitement for the event. So
Okay.
that's that one. Some other things.
What we did is one day, Jody, I got this idea, and it always starts with one of us going, I got an idea.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And I said, he was coming over my house with his family, and Lindsay, by the way, my husband and Lindsay, Jody's wife, have a tight bond, because I think the two most thankful people in the world that Jody has me and I have Jody are our spouses, because they don't have to deal. Like,
Right.
Lindsay will call me and go, he needs some Kristina time. Take him off my hands. So
Nice.
So we were
happen.
sitting around, and they were coming over, and I'm like, Jody, we got to do this. What are we going to do? So I don't even think I showered that day. We were coming over for a barbecue. So I said, bring the duck costume. And we made like a duck training video where all these different scenes where it was like a Weird Al song, and I trained him. And then I do video editing. So I edited the video together, and it was actually pretty funny, but we put it out there, and then I think, how many views did that
it got like 2,500 views, and
nice.
Our duck sales, I think, went up like 300% after.
And I was like, maybe I should have showered, but it was like one of those 80s montages where at first the duck was terrible, and I'm training the duck for the duck race.
But it was 100% a Rocky montage. Okay,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you start and Rocky's struggling, he's struggling,
Right,
and then
right.
by the end he's running up those stairs, dead sprint. That's exactly what it was.
So I want
Yes,
to make sure, did I hear correctly that we might be able to find this on YouTube somewhere?
Oh,
Is that
yeah.
is that
Oh,
what you just
Facebook.
said?
Oh, it's on
For
Facebook.
sure.
Okay,
It's on the
Facebook.
Rotary. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'll tell you the craziest project of recent times.
Yes.
We were at Rotary. Speaking of Rotary, we were standing there, and Brooke Waters, who's in our club, she's an executive. She's one of the Glance Gwinnett, which is a shorter leadership program in Gwinnett County. She comes up to us, and because of COVID last year, she goes, we weren't able to have our Christmas party this year. So people do this to us. They just drop stuff in our lap, and they go, can you come up with something for us to celebrate the holidays? And my first thought to her was, hey, pretty lady, it's November. Like, are you mean for like next month? And she goes, yeah. And I said, well, and I looked at Jody, because we have these ideas, and I turned to him and I go, wouldn't it be funny if you and I wrote 2020 as a musical? And Jody's like, yeah. And Brooke goes, that sounds great. Do that. And then she walks
Nice.
away.
And she walked away.
And
She
he's
goes,
like,
I'll
what
get
did you
some dates.
do?
Bye.
Wow.
So we had to come up with, in 6 weeks, we wrote 2020 as a musical. And it was really funny. And we corralled some of our friends to do it. And then when we got into the process of it, we didn't think, we were trying to give some people, the chance to reflect and to, 2020, I tell people all the time, presented not just obstacles and challenges, but it was a lot of opportunities there to really refocus, reimagine, redirect. It was really, there were some experiences from 2020. I wish
You
it
make
wasn't
it
a
sound
global
kind of
pandemic.
fun.
No, it wasn't fun, but you need to look for the chances to really downshift, take your foot off the gas and rethink. I mean, a lot of people had that. That was a gift. If you look at it the right way, if your perspective was calibrated properly, it's a gift. So Jody and I used that tool of creating this musical, and it wasn't all just skewering like social distancing. There were some moments in there, and then we brought in some friends to do it, and doing a musical where we had to rehearse by Zoom and then doing it at the Eagle Theater. We had and just in that short time frame, I think 100 people.
Yeah, 100 tickets got sold. We turned it into a fundraiser for the Leadership Gwinnett organization.
Nice.
We had people watching digitally, so yeah, necessity was the mother of invention, as they say.
That's awesome. So what I read here is that one of your fundraising ventures actually raised some pretty serious cash. It's like $100,000, right?
Okay.
How did that happen?
That's Shelley Schwarzler.
Yeah, let's give credit where credit is due. That was
okay.
She's amazing.
So library, Gwinnett County Library System, right?
That's right. Yep. And we emceed their gala.
She might have raised $200,000 if we weren't there, Matt. Again, it's all about perspective.
But no,
I was positioning it as a win. So.
Well, yeah, like here's the thing. Kristina and I, what we don't do is we don't do any of this for credit. Okay, we're not trying to. I mean, it's about the mission. It's not about us. And so,
and helping our friends.
That's right. Mm-hmm. And so when our friends need something, like Shelley was a dear friend of both of ours.
Oh, and an amazing woman. She's just beautiful and brilliant and amazing. And she put together an amazing event.
Yeah, she put together an event. She goes, I need somebody to keep the energy up during the gala. And would you all do it?
Wait, I think she goes, it's a library thing. She goes, so I need. I said, do you want us to read from classics while we're up there? And she's like, no.
So instead we did we did some song parody, and we literally scoured the internet for every literature book pun you could find, because we're like, we need some humor, but like the whole school board is going to be right there, and my wife's insecure, so I don't want to get her fired.
It was really stupid what we did.
It was pretty dumb.
We started off by singing 24 Karat Magic by Bruno Mars.
Because why not?
What was the song parody? I don't even remember, Jody.
It was 24 Karat Magic.
No, but what was something magic in the air?
I honestly do not remember.
but a lot of what we do, Matt, is honest to God, we just try real hard to crack each other up.
Yeah.
He can make me laugh so hard. In fact, we talk every single day in the mornings. And usually I have a routine, like my husband and I get up and we have coffee together every single morning at 6 a.m. I just have coffee with my husband. So we sit there and sometimes we're scrolling the news and whatever, and we're chit-chatting on the couch. But almost every morning, Jody and I send each other something stupid from the internet.
Oh, of course.
Like I sent him yesterday, what I sent him was a picture of William Dafoe, and it just said, I prefer to call him William DeFriend. That's it. Or
nice.
it could be something stupid, but I think our whole goal, and the weird thing is, we were talking about this, we're not competitive with one another. I've never had, as an adult right now, my friendships that I have with, I don't know, there's like 4 or 5 people in my life right now that my husband tells me all the time. He's like, you can't live without. And I'm like, I can't. And there are people that support you and make you better. It's not about a competition. It's about who's gonna love me being me. And I think that's really special when you can find those people in your life, and you have to prioritize them and make time for them and all the great things. And but back to the library gala. Yeah, I don't know if it was our best work.
I don't know. I enjoyed the heck out of myself. I got to rent a tux with tails. It was great.
Nice.
It was very taco putting on the Ritz.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Man, we're really dating ourselves now.
Oh yeah.
Most of our listeners never heard that before. So I just love the partnership and the friendship and the bond that the two of you have. I think it's pretty rare. I don't think it's something we can go shop for. Do you agree?
Absolutely. But you know what? But again, I hate to sound like a broken record. It all comes back to being authentic.
Yeah.
If I, and I already talked about this, but if I had continued to see Kristina as Judge Blum, if I was married to this if I had prioritized in my head that the professional personas matter more than the real personal connections, I would have missed out on easily one of the two most important relationships I have in my life. And so I cannot stress this enough. And I even said this, one of the things that we do in Leadership Gwinnett is everybody gets to give a little graduation speech. And I vividly remember mine, Matt. And I thanked I thanked my class. I thanked you. And
we all do, Jody.
All of our classmates for letting me.
I don't remember it.
For letting me be the real me, and for accepting me as the real me, and for realizing that I'm more than just my job.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think you're right. What Kristina and I have is rare, but it doesn't have to be. If you just give yourself permission to be the real you, people will accept you. People and you will find those kindred spirits and those kindred souls, and y'all will find a way to utilize each other's talents.
But I don't think it's that simple, because what's interesting is, I tell people all the time, at this point in my life and my career, I've gotten to the point where I am the same person sitting in a boardroom with, when I was on judicial council with the Supreme Court justice and, for Georgia Supreme Court and all this, I'm the same person sitting in that room. You're going to get the same Kristina that you would having a beer with me, and I always say, I don't want to worry about which version of myself I gave you.
I think that's so important. I think that's a super key thing. I don't want people to miss it. It is so important to be the same person. It's a lot of work if you have your professional persona and your personal persona, your persona with your spouse, right? So better to just one persona applies everywhere.
Okay, so when you talk about saying I'm the same person in this boardroom as that I am if you have a beer with me, it's just not that simple. And achieving these kind of adult friendships, a lot of it is every day you should be figuring out who you are and what you like and what motivates you. And I had somebody in my office the other day, and they're like, I don't like doing that. It's not a job I enjoyed. I go, well, then you need to take from that the gift you were given, which is, I know what I don't want to do. And I say, like, having friends like Jody and things like that, and what we do is trying to figure out what I like to do and who I really am and what my purpose is. And I think the greatest sadness or sorrow that some adults in our, when you hit middle age, is that they get so quagmired in a routine. That they don't know. They go to work, they go home, they watch I don't watch a lot of TV, and when I do, it's really, really bad TV, I'll tell you that. But I think people forget to learn and forget to experience, and they're like, I'm tired, I'm this and that. And, trying new and different things is something that everybody should do. Like, Jody and I made a goal this year to do 3 adventure races: the Spartan, the Savage, and the Tough Mudder.
Wow,
we did the
nice.
Tough Mudder last Saturday, and we did it in the torrential, pouring, freezing rain.
Crazy rain. Yes.
I cannot exaggerate the amount of mud. And it was 11 and a half miles.
It was the Tough Mud-est. Yes.
It was really bad. Yes. And there were times I wanted to quit. Like, I was like, why am I doing this? And then I'm like, you know what? Because I can, and I will. And I willed myself through it. And Jody and I were talking about it, and I said, I'm ashamed to say I felt like quitting a couple of times. My knees were killing me because people were slipping right and left. There were miles 7 to 10 were in what I called the torture forest, just running through mud this thick, people wiping out all over the place. My knees were killing me because the mud was just so punishing. We were freezing, soaking wet, and there were a lot of obstacles that were really scary too. And I was like, I think in my head that quit kept coming up. And Jody was like, I would never have let you do that. He goes, and I go, and you know what? I kept going because I was like, he's not going to let me quit.
Right.
And having those kinds of things. And okay, so you don't want to go out and do a Tough Mudder. Our other best friend, Molly McAuliffe, who's principal at Stripling Elementary, she's doing her first adventure race this weekend up in Aska. It's a bike canoe. It's 8 hours mountain biking, canoeing,
oh my goodness,
and trekking.
Wow.
Yeah, so I went up.
I love the deep end of the pool, huh?
For sure. But it's that experience. And we just came back from skiing. Lindsay Campbell, it's like, I've never skied. And it's and she tried it and did it and took the lessons, but it's that constant, like, if you're not every day is an experience, and that's what I hate missed opportunities.
Mm.
I hate missed opportunities. So when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, what am I going to get to do today? And what problem am I going to get to solve? And I think people in a weird way, people forget that. So my relationship with Jody, he never lets me forget that. And as much as I'm the big sister of the relationship, he's taught me two very valuable things that I keep very close to me. And I don't have it on today, but I usually have a bracelet. One time we were doing some stupid musical. I don't know what we were doing. It was pretty stupid. It was a long time ago. And I was playing Maria and he was Captain Von Trapp. And we're about to perform this. And I always do this thing. I freak out before we're about to do this. I'm like, this
Oh, really?
is so stupid. Because I'm like, I go, this even pushes my limits for stupidity. And I'm sitting there and I was cracking up and messing up. And Jody looks at me, and I'm not going to swear on your podcast, but he goes, handle your stuff. You know,
Ah.
but he goes, handle. And yeah. And I thought about that phrase, and I thought, that's really just all you need to do
Right.
every day.
Right.
I just need to, and so we all have bracelets that say HYS.
Oh, nice.
It just reminds you when you are in the worst moment, just handle it. And the other thing Jody taught me, the lesson that he taught me as a friend is he goes, whenever a crisis,
Okay.
rule number one,
I'm ready.
don't freak out. And I use that in court all the time. I was like, because my job is a high level of emergency. My
Yes.
court is very emergency room. There are dramas and traumas every day.
Mm.
And I always tell people, we're going to see good people on their worst day. So how are we going to handle that? And but when my staff or anybody gets like, oh my gosh, I go, rule number one, don't freak out.
Right.
And so Jody has taught me those two things that have measured sort of, how we integrate with one another. But having that ability when you achieve these adult friendships to figure out what you like. And if I always say there's three people in your life. There's people you tolerate, people you like, and people you need.
Mm.
And prioritizing those are the people you have to find.
Love
Yeah. The only thing I'll add to that, Matt, is, and I agree with you, Kristina. We are always learning. One thing, my father-in-law did this. I remember this being really weird. I've been with my wife since we were 17. Okay.
Wow.
We've been married.
He's a patient person.
The most patient woman ever. Yeah, no, we've been, this is our 17th year being married. We've been together for 23.
Nice.
But I went over to dinner at their house, and every time I was over there, we'd sit down and my father-in-law would go around the table and go, what did you learn today? Because if you didn't learn something today, you're dead. Okay, you learn something every single day, and that's part of the learning about yourself, learning what you like. My point about the authenticity and being your authentic self is simply, in doing that, you're going to find the companions that are going to help you in that self-exploration. And here's my example of that. Kristina's life partner, my law partner, Jim. Okay, when we opened up Blum and Campbell, Jim and I we knew each other, we respected each other, we practiced law in the same areas, so we were
vacation together.
Yeah, but on a professional level, we had interacted many a times, right? But that's how we knew each other. First day at Blum and Campbell, he comes in, and do you remember what he was wearing, Kristina? I do.
I don't know, probably khakis and a golf shirt.
That's exactly right. He was wearing a polo, tucked in with pressed khakis and loafers. I was wearing a pair of jeans, not jeans, but they were like casual pants, right, flip-flops, and a t-shirt.
Oh, wow.
Do you know what Jim is wearing today? A pair of jeans, a t-shirt, and flip-flops.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yes.
You changed him.
I did, and I don't know if it's for the better, but the point being is, that's one of those examples of, does that define who you are, or is there more to it than that? Everybody knows Jim Blum is one of the most well-respected real estate litigators in the state. I mean, people who are friends call Jim and say, "I've got this case. What would you do, Jim?"
Huh.
And guess what? They're going to do that regardless of whether he's wearing a button-down shirt or a t-shirt, because Jim Blum is Jim Blum.
Right.
And so part of being that authentic self and finding what you like and what you're comfortable with. And don't get me wrong, when we're in court, we're suit and tie. When we're meeting with clients, we're suit and ties. That's really more about their expectations than expectations of our own.
Right.
But part of what Kristina's talking about is she's so right. Life is a constant evolving process of, finding who you are, what you like, and finding those people that are going to help you in that journey.
So we're going to jump into our lightning round. And this is a question that we ask each of our guests. So we get to ask 2 people. So we have, I guess, 6 answers coming this time. So let's dive right into that. I want to know, for each of you, tell us one person that's made a profound impact on your journey.
Are we not allowed to say each other?
Jody, of course.
You can.
Kristina,
Of course.
Duh.
Yeah.
I should have seen that coming.
No. Okay, seriously. So this is what I say. That Kristina is the sister that God gave me 30 years too late. I have 2 brothers who I love dearly.
He had to wait for you to be ready, Jody. He had to wait for you to be ready.
I don't think I was ready, to be honest.
I don't know how to take that.
It's overwhelming, Kay. Being your friend is sometimes a little bit overwhelming. No, I have 2 brothers who I love dearly, who I'm very, very close to. But like I said, like Kristina is my sister. I mean, my kids call her Aunt Kay. There's just
that's awesome.
When I'm booking a trip or I'm thinking of doing something, immediately I think, all right, so it's going to be me, my family, Kristina, Jim. Her son will come. Her daughter might. She's college age, so she doesn't think we're cool anymore. Oh, wait, no, this trip might be cool enough. She will come on this one. It's you know how there's people in your life that you just can't think about doing something without them? Kay is that person for me.
Got it.
Obviously, with my wife being on top of the pyramid, I feel like that's fairly important.
Of course. So,
I mean, I only have one sister. So Jody is the brother I've never had. And I think our relationship, when people talk about, we laugh that nobody ever says Kristina or Jody. They say Jody and Kristina. It's always Jody and Kristina, Jody and Kristina. and we, Jody, I think, again, my kids are now, I have a freshman at Georgia Tech, and then I have a sophomore in high school. My sophomore in high school, my son worships Lindsay Campbell. That is his person. But I'm thankful because the things that I love my job, I love my mission. And of course, Warren Davis, the guy I told you about at the beginning, Judge Davis, who called me, changed the course of everything because he saw something in me I didn't see in myself. And he made me think, hey, there's something different for you that maybe your purpose hasn't been fulfilled yet. And I still don't think it has, but I'm happy doing what I'm doing right now. And that's all that matters. But with Jody as my friend, I think getting to have that kind of relationship and friendship has made me a whole lot more comfortable being me and who I am. We had an argument because we do pick at each other.
Typical siblings.
Our relationship,
brother and sister,
together all
that's
the time.
pretty typical.
But I did have this conversation with my husband the other day because I said, Jody and I got a tiff, and then we had lunch and we were staring at each other across the table, and there's no anger because we can move past it. But it was like, here's what I think I did that made you angry, and I'm sorry, but here's what you did. And we had this completely grown up conversation about it. And then we're like, afterwards, I almost felt like, wow, that was pretty evolved of us. And when you have a comfort level with someone that you can really just say what's on your mind, and I think my life is enhanced because of the friendships I have. I have a fullness and a completeness that I don't want to take for granted with the women and the men that I get to be part of their lives, and I certainly have integrated them into mine. So being thankful for that, that's why I lay my head on the pillow at night.
There you go.
With a smile.
Awesome. So tell us, what's the single most important lesson you think you've learned in your professional career so far?
For me, It's always, always, always developing the next round of leaders. You
Really?
should always be training your replacement.
Yeah.
How I got to where I am and the success I have, I do not believe is any short measure from the investment I've put in other people.
Hmm.
I mean, people don't follow you because you have a fancy title.
Right.
People follow you because you're worth being followed. And I think every day I come in, I was here late last night with one of my newer judges who's just a doll, and she's such a gem, and she's got all the right goods and treats people the way they should be treated. And there was an issue, so we sat and worked through it. But I don't think we care for our community enough unless we're worried about who's coming behind us, and make sure that we are sharing the knowledge and the lessons we've learned, and make sure we're investing in other people's success, because I take great pride when people I have helped or mentored or worked with have a success. And I think that's super important for anyone in a profession, to make sure that we're protecting the people in the future by building up the leaders behind us.
Love it.
That's spot on. For me, there is the single greatest component to personal and professional success is honesty. Honesty in who you are and how you interact with people. I sound like a broken record. People know, the craziness, the lunacy, the freneticism, which is an actual word. Kristina and I had this conversation this morning about it. That's who I am. All the ridiculous shenanigans that Kristina and I do, that's the authentic me. In my profession, there's a lot of people that have a very traditional sense of or impression of what lawyers are.
Mm-hmm.
And that you can be yourself and still be respected and trusted as a legal advisor. People trust me with their lives, their businesses, their livelihoods, their family.
He's a really good lawyer.
But here's what I've learned. By being the true me, by showing people the true me, and by not being ashamed of that, they know that I'm authentic. They know that I'm honest. So when it's serious Jody time and I have to give you serious advice, you can take it to the bank that it is my truly held belief. Because if it's not my truly held belief, I'd probably end with jazz hands or some other kind of, pun or joke or something. So just being honest, be honest in who you are at all times, and people will accept you and trust you.
Love it. Any current books or favorite podcasts?
I'm reading a book right now. One of my other really, really best friends, his name's Steve Pereira. He and I went to Key West he and his wife, Elisa, are two of my dearest friends. They're two of my dearest friends. And
yeah,
last year we went to Key West. It was the one trip that survived the COVID. And we went down there, and I had this great idea. I thought, hey, it's going to be really fun. Let's read Hemingway and discuss it in Key West, right?
Yeah.
Romantic, elegant.
This sounds actually kind of cerebral.
So Steven, who I love, goes, Kristina's a great idea. I love it. And then his wife, Elisa, who's a brilliant lawyer, she goes, maybe. And then my husband's like, I ain't reading it. So the only two that read the book were me and Steve. And we got down there and we discussed the book in Key West. And it was really kind of an interesting thing. So we got back and we decided that we have our book club, which my son says can't be a book club if it's just two of us. So we read. Then we decided we were going to read some of the classic literature just to go back and discuss it as adults rather than high school kids that they make you read. So we read As I Lay Dying by Faulkner, and we had a book discussion about that. And then we read Wise Blood by Flannery O'Connor. And now we are reading right now The Heart is a Lonely Hunter by Carson McCullers.
You note a very dark theme here.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's more of like a therapy session for some really depressed people.
Well, I will say, when we discussed As I Lay Dying, we went to a coffee shop on a Friday afternoon, and we discussed the book for 2 hours, and then we took our guitars and we played guitars in the park for an hour afterwards.
Wow.
It was very and then we met our spouses for a beer. It was great.
Perfect.
Book club.
So my book, I'm mostly a pleasure reader. So I have kids that are young teenagers, young adults. So a lot of Harry Potter, a lot of Percy Jackson. But one of the things that I do, my oldest daughter is a big swimmer,
Mhm.
and I manage my neighborhood swim team.
Ah.
And so I'm literally running swim meets, and you can only imagine, like, I'm pumping music, I'm making it a party atmosphere, and I'm, rooting on kids that aren't mine, et cetera, et cetera. And a parent walked up to me and she goes, "You remind me of Bob Goff."
Oh, yeah.
And
Love Bob
I
Goff.
was like,
Yeah.
I don't know who Bob Goff is.
What?
Okay, I had no idea, none. And so she bought me the book Love Does.
Yeah. Great book.
And so I just finished Love Does.
Nice.
And then during COVID, during the quarantine in February, March, April, Kristina has a job that, of course, like, it lends itself to crisis management. Okay.
Mhm.
The courts have got to keep running. There are so many.
I came to
and
work.
it touches every day, and it touches so many people. Kristina had to be on every single day, and she was solving some of our community's greatest problems during COVID.
Well,
I was sitting at home helping my daughters with math homework. Okay. And I did that because my wife is sitting at home teaching her kids.
Right.
And so I had to stay home and kind of be the support system for my daughters. But every single day at 5:00, I put on a costume of some kind, like Gilligan or Mario or a centaur, and I would walk around the neighborhood with my dogs. and I literally, my neighbors would come to the end of their driveway with lawn chairs and sit and wait for me to walk
the
by.
dogs.
Like, what's Jody going to do today? And that was
I was here protecting the community, Matt.
Right. We all add value however we can, right?
Yeah, some people's strengths are stronger than others can. But again, even if I was able to give people 5 minutes of a distraction from the struggles of COVID, I was going to do it. And so a friend from high school, actually works for Bob Goff's publisher.
Oh, wow.
And he reached out to me and said, "Hey, have you read Bob Goff?" I said, "It's funny you mentioned that. I'm in the middle of Love Does." He goes, "I'm going to send you his next book, Everybody Always."
Oh, perfect.
So I'm now in the middle of that one.
By
Wow.
the way, just on a total side note, here's just another fun, weird, random fact about us. Matt, whenever we go on vacation, we take a costume with us.
Oh,
Our Amazon carts are constantly filled with I literally just bought a pound of banana Laffy Taffy. It came this week.
what are we going to do with that?
Oh, Jody and I's our favorite candy. So, Pixie Sticks are mine, but banana Laffy Taffy.
Banana Laffy Taffy.
So the costumes, like the centaur costume he mentioned, was a purchase. We were sitting in his office, and I was like, "I think I know what I'm going to get you for your birthday. I'm going to get you, or for your anniversary, a centaur costume, because Lindsay teaches Latin." And he bought it before I did, and it came to the office, and he put it on and showed it. It's like an inflatable centaur in the back. And we brought it to Spain, and it was 2:00 in the morning. We were in Madrid, and the normals, as we call them, went to bed. So me and Jody and Molly grabbed the centaur costume, which we had packed and taken to Spain, went to a national monument,
The Puerto de Alcala.
crossed 4 lanes of traffic with this, and did a photo shoot with Jody as the centaur standing in front of this national monument.
It's a triumphal arch.
And we had to fluff up the
It's just
centaur.
like the Arc de Triomphe.
And then we
but
brought-
in Madrid, Spain.
I feel like, that sort of seems dangerous to me. Like, I don't know. I think I would be afraid that I was breaking some local ordinance.
We weren't sure.
Yeah. I mean,
And I may not be welcome back in Spain. I don't know.
I have confidence in my legal abilities to talk my way
All
out.
right.
But we did that with a Viking costume in Iceland. We brought a Viking costume to Iceland, and
We brought a Sasquatch costume to Big Sky.
that
where
was
we
my
just got back
birthday
from.
present to Jody. Was a
Oh my
full
gosh.
Sasquatch costume, because Jody and I also have jackets and all the gear to hunt Bigfoot.
Yeah, and if y'all want to, if anybody wants to see these photos, I'm not shy. I put them on my Facebook. Just Jody Campbell on Facebook. Go to last year, and you'll see my costume parade every single day.
Well, I, as a casual internet observer, I certainly enjoyed pulling up Facebook every once in a while. I think I logged in just for that, just to see what Jody was up to. That's pretty awesome. So
I don't
that's
do
how.
any social media.
Yeah, right. So that actually leads me to my next question. If people want to learn more about the two of you and what you're doing, what's the best way to reach you or learn more about you?
For Kristina, it's to get arrested.
No.
Oh, that's probably not the best way.
No,
That's a way.
I'm always I just excited to show people what you see in the news and what you see. I mean, the people I work with and the things that are getting done, there's so much more good going on than bad. And the bad is what only gets focused on. I always say
Right.
this. I go, there's so much more good in the world, but the bad's just a lot louder. The
Mhm.
bad's so much louder. So
Mhm.
I always, if anybody's really interested about coming to court or watching hearings or things like that, or they have an interest in it, then just email me. I mean, I don't have screeners or people, or stuff like that, but just email me. It's Kristina.Blum@GwinnettCounty.com, and it's KRISTINA.BLUM@GwinnettCounty.com. And if
Great.
I'm not the right person, I'm happy to find the right person. Always happy to share and, quite frankly, show off some of the amazing things our court system is doing for the community.
I love it. Jody?
And for me, it's, if you have a legal need, give me a call. No, I'm kidding. Easy way to find me is to go to
No,
our
you're
website.
not. You're not kidding. Seriously, if you have a legal need, then we're
Well,
gonna.
if you have a legal need, or if you just want to grab a cup of coffee or a beer, give me a call. I don't care.
All right.
Here, watch this.
But his point is, Jody, how?
Yes.
Where?
Well, I was getting there, but I got interrupted. Go to Blum Campbell, BLUM Campbell, like the soup, CAMPBELL.com, or you can email me at Jody, which is JODY @BlumCampbell.com. And watch this. I don't even mind doing this. I'll give you my cell phone number.
Whoa.
770-712-0923. Give me a call and we'll grab a beer.
I love it. On that note, it's time to wrap things up. Kristina and Jody, from myself and our audience, thank you for joining me today. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in. Should you have any suggestions for future topics you'd like to hear about, email us at podcasts@rocketit.com. And finally, before we sign off, I'd like to provide our security-focused listeners with a limited time offer. Throughout the remainder of 2021, Rocket IT is providing audience members with access to its phishing testing and security training platform completely free of charge. To see if you're eligible for this offer, simply visit rocketit.com/phishing. That's PHISHING. Thank you. Thank you, Jody. Thank you, Kristina. Awesome job
so
today.
Good to see you, Matt.
Good to see you, Matt.
You guys did
Be
great.
good, my friend.